Today, I'm going to be making a brand new blue hive meta for the sole purpose of completing BBM. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be putting it up against 3 different challenges to see how it will actually perform. Normally, it's impossible to beat BBM as Blue Hive because the quest is just so difficult. However, I believe I can do it. Instead of switching to red or white like a normal person, I'm going to double down as blue. Now, this hive will be all around good. It should hopefully work. I haven't actually tested it, and I've never seen anyone make a hive like this. So this is a first for beeswarm community. I'm leading the charge, which is why this hive is going to make 0 honey an hour. I'm going to be broke. There's no chance I make any honey. Luckily, I do have 3.3 Q Devo, so I shouldn't worry about going back to the diamond hive after this. However, hopefully I don't go too broke. The first thing I have to do is kind of explain the hive. So let me go ahead and pull it up. And here it is. You're looking at this and you're like, what the actual golly god am I looking at? What in the beeswarm is this? And that's actually a completely valid reaction. First off, we have to explain why this hive. And the answer to that is because I want pollen. I also need to be able to complete a bunch of robo challenges, a bunch of retro challenges, a bunch of random quests, which requires a hive like this. So I'm going to go over every single bee and explain why I have it in my hive. So the first bees I have are obviously just ones that you can't do this without. Basic is 1.2 times pollen. Why would you not have that? You have to. You also have cool for 1.1 times blue, bumble for capacity, looker for crit chance, baby for more pollen, bucko, diamond, and obviously that. So these are all actually kind of obvious. So I'm going to add all of these to my hive now. Now, luckily, I actually already have all of these on my hive, so I don't have to worry about getting any more of them because I already have them all. Now, next up are bees that you need. I highly recommend, however, I can see why you wouldn't use them. For example, music bee, you must have at least 1 minimum. This is because of a hive bonus for gifted hive of 25% pollen from bees gathering. That's just insane. And because this hive needs pollen, you need at least 1. Now, I'm going to run 4 because I don't have any token link Beequips. I might have 1 or 2. However, if you have a lot of token link Beequips like paper angels, or I'm going to run 3 of them because I actually only have 1 token link. I don't have my beard lizard with token link. However, I do actually have, let me find it. I have a paper angel with token link. So I can replace this one with my actual music bee. So that is super good. We can check that off. Next up is for vector bee. This is for the hive bonus that messes with the precise bees. Because if you don't know, precise bees gives an insane amount of super crit chance and critical chance, and their totems are insanely powerful. And the vector bee gives mark duration, which is super important. So we're going to need to get ourselves one of those. First up, we have to buy a bunch of jellies. So let's spend 1 QD straight on jellies. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Wow. If I don't get at least 100,000 gifted mythics, I'm going to cry. Here we go. Oh my god, gifted precise bee. That is also needed, so we'll just keep that. There we go. We have our gifted vector bee. So we're going to check that off. The next up is 5 times precise bees. I don't actually know how much I need, but I think 5 is a pretty good start. So now we need 5 precise bees. Yeah, and that is our 5th and final precise bee. So what it means is we can tick that part off, which is good. Next up are our other 2 mythics, which is for tads. You should have about 10. This is going to be the only way I can actually make any sort of pollen, which is from the bubbles. Now, luckily, I already have 9, and I don't really need to change that. I can change that, but I'll just change that throughout the rest of this. Now, next up is Windy Bee. I already have 1, so I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to keep this because I can sub it out for a music bee. Because instead of a token link, I can just use the Windy Bee ability, which is really good. Yeah, so we're going to tick that. Next up is Fuzzy. You can drop it if you have a Fuzzy ult. I have a Fuzzy ult. I'm still going to keep it though, just because I want to. Actually, there's no real reason. I just think it's kind of cool to have at least 1 Fuzzy Bee. So we're going to tick that. Next up is 10 buoyants, minimum of 10. You can have more, however, you really don't need more than 10. Obviously, try to get like a balloon best blessing or something. I have 12 right now, which I think is fine. So we're going to tick that and move on to the Frosty. The Frosty is here for bomb pollen because we're trying to get pollen, not honey. And the Bomber Bee is 1.1 times bomb pollen. However, Frosty is 1.25 blue bomb pollen. And because we only have blue bombs, this is just so much better than the Bomber Bee, which is why we're going to use this one. So we're going to tick it. Next up is Commando. I'm only going to use this. It does have a actual good hive bonus, which is 3% critical power. So it is okay. Oh, it's 3% critical chance, which is really good. However, it's really not worth running unless you also use the whistle. I have a 2 super critical power, so I'm going to keep it because of the whistle. If I didn't have a whistle though, I probably probably would drop it. So we're going to tick that. Next up is puppy, only if you have reindeer antlers. You don't really need reindeer antlers or a puppy bee. I'm going to keep it because I have 5 movement speed and my antlers are pretty good. So I'm just going to keep it, but I might remove it later. Next up is ninja bee. You can have this. This is just another filler bee. This is for the 5% bee movement speed, which I think is just good for any hive to have. Next up is the shy bee, which has an insanely good hive bonus. It is so good. It is 5% bee ability pollen, which is super good for this hive and a absolute must. Then we have the shy bee, which is just way better. So we can tick that off. And next up is the festive bee, which must have a festive wreath. If it doesn't have a good festive wreath, it's not worth it. The festive mark is insanely good. It gives a bunch of bomb pollen and a bunch of convert leak, and it's just overall a really good thing to have. Next up is the bomber. If frosty isn't enough, if you're underfilling, I'm not going to worry about bomber because frosty is already good, so that doesn't matter. Next up is hasty bee. If you don't have enough haste, I currently have a +3 player movement, so I don't really need a hasty bee. I also have a shocked as well as a toy drum and another thing that gives haste, so my haste is fine. I'm not gonna hasty bee. You can definitely do it if you need haste, but I just don't even worry about it. Lion also has a pretty good decent hive bonus if you have space. I luckily have space, so I'm going to add the line bee. And there we go, there's a line bee. Now, next up is shocked bee, which also has a good hive bonus, and it gives haste and a token link, which is super good. Gives 1.1 times pollen. It also gives haste and a token link. I really recommend having this. You can also put a kazoo on it with 4 critical power. That's mine, so it's just good bee to have. Now, you can remove a music bee if you have both shocked and windy, because then you have a lot of token links already. And next up is the exhaust bee. This just gives you capacity on white fields. It's kind of important. It really depends on if you're overflowing. Obviously, this is different for everyone. Next up, we have a few strange ones. We have photon bee for insta conversion. If you are filling way too fast, I don't know if I might be. Have a photon is 5% insta conversion, which could be. I might end up adding that. Same with the cobalt, which is probably better than the photon in this hive at least, because it's 15 insta blue conversion, which being a blue hive, this is probably better than photon. I might add it if I'm overfilling. However, right now I haven't even tested the hive, so I have no idea if I'm going to name this. Next up is a gifted gummy bee. I already have it up there. This is important because you actually will definitely need gum drops or some sort of gum collection in the quest. Remember, this is a BBM quest, and gum or gum drops or goo or whatever it is from any field will be needed, so it's probably 100% worth it. And then obviously we have gifted vicious bee, which is just the strongest bee in the game. You have to have it for an attack. So let's go ahead and add ourselves our vicious bee, and then we should gift it. Do I use a star treat? I'm gonna use a star treat. Let's go, gifted vicious bee. Yo, also gonna give it another treat, so surely give us a good 7 attack. Oh my god, perfect. On it loves me. Thank you, on it. So now we can tick that, which is all of the bees basically done. Now that we have done that, we can move on to the Beequips. Yay! So these are all the Beequips I'm gonna go over all the Beequips in total after. However, first up, I have a festive wreath on festive, chap lip balm on my bubble, and I have reindeer antlers. I still might remove puppy bee, but for now it's fine. Kazoo is on shocked bee, that's the best for it. Pink shades are on basic bee because that's literally all. Oh, actually they can go on shy bee. I'll put them on shy bee. The shy bee is probably a little bit better. Next up is the snow tiara on windy bee, the whistle on commander, the bearded lizard on my bumble. A toy horn can go on my lion bee. The toy horn has 1 bee ability pollen. The toy drum has 2 bee ability pollen, so it can go on bucko. Also, my bearded lizard has 1 bubble pollen. My whistle has 2 super crit. My snow tiara has 4.7 blue field capacity and also blue gather amount and white gather amount. My pink shades are 6 super crit power. My kazoo is 4 critical power. My chap lip balm is 13 bubble and 2 gold. My paper angel is 1 bee ability pollen and token link, which can go on. Next up is sweatband on digital bee. It has both a blue pollen and white gather amount and blue gather amount. And then I have a bang snap with blue bomb. This was kind of last resort. I'm kind of out of Beequips for this hive. However, I can go on frosty, I suppose. And then we have our posterior with 5 bee gather pollen, which does suck. However, it is all I have, so it's going to go on a tadpole bee. And then a barrette with 2 field capacity on a diamond bee. And that is what I'm rocking. However, there's a lot more Beequip. I have a list here of pretty much everything you can rock. I strongly recommend rocking 2 toy drums because you can, and that would be super good. You might have to change a few filler bees around to make it work. You can only put this on bucko, demon, and brave, so I might have to add a brave bee or another bucko bee in order to make this work, but this is probably the best. There's also 2 paper angels I strongly recommend. I don't have 2. I'm going to try to get another one with 1 bee ability. They're really cheap, only 2 signs. And if I get another one, then I can remove music bee and add my ninja bee or go to like that back. Sweatbands on digital bee, obviously paper clips are only good if that's token link. If it doesn't, it's also not really worth it. Obviously, if you have like some insane honey mark or some 50,000 value Beequip, use it. That's just like duh. Next up are mutations. Pretty much, besides bees, you want bee ability rate, then movement, and then tads and everything else. You want movement and bee ability rate. Honestly, I ignore all of this. Just get movement and bee ability rate or gather amount on digital bee. That's pretty much the only thing. They are super rare though, so try your best. However, gather amount on digital, obviously, that's the only difference, I believe. And attack on vicious bee also, because it's vicious bee, you need high attack on it. Alright, now we're going to go over amulets. The thing for amulets, I'm not going to bother changing any of my amulets. They're already super good. They're fine blue ones. There's no point really trying to change them at all. So I believe that is everything covered for the Hive, which is now why we're going to move on to the greatest thing, actually testing it against a bunch of different mobs. So what I'm going to test on is going to be the ant challenge, coconut crab, as well as the stump snail. Unfortunately, both my coconut crab and my stump snail are currently sleeping, which is why I'm going to cut back in about 3 days when I have all my nectars built up and everything, and we're going to see how good this hive actually is. And cut back. Okay, so it has been a few days. We have 2 hours left until stump snail. So until that happens, we are going to work on all the other challenges. And the first one is going to be the coconut crab. So let's quickly get the rest of my nectars up that I wasn't able to, and get my stingers and all my other attack. Yes, I am going to use a sticker stack for this because it is just insane. Oh my god, I'm broke on tickets. I literally have 97. Oh my. I'm also going to use coconut drinks, and that is pretty much it. First, we need to get our position up. And just for reference, my all-time fastest crab slay is 41.25 seconds. I'm hopefully going to be able to do a lot better than that. This is the last one, and we're done. So now we can go ahead and go to the coconut crab. Wait for our bees. 3, 2, 1, activate. And let's kill it. Let's kill it fast, hopefully, as well. Okay. Oh my god. 50,000 already? 100,000? Wait, it's actually insane. I just can't die now. Okay, it's got 100,000. Most of my damage came from vicious bee, actually, pretty much. I should still be on time, hopefully. Come on, kill it, kill it. My stinger's almost out, which means it's almost out. Come on. 3, 2, 1. Boom. How fast? How fast? How fast? 34 seconds, new personal best. Oh my god, I did that in 34 seconds. 34 seconds and 6.25 seconds. That is insane. Oh, 34. Alright, let's go ahead and do the ant challenge now. Now, could I be using Robo Blessing and a bunch of other stuff? Yeah, probably, but it really doesn't matter that much. So let's go ahead and armor it at max. Let's use a purple potion and glue and blue extract. Wait, I've already used that. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Oh, also, my personal best on the ant challenge is 504. I forgot to check it, but it's 504. There's 30 seconds left. We're at 460, and I don't think I'm actually going to beat this. I don't know how I got a 504. Whatever hive I was using was probably insane. I think I was some red hive or something. My size also ran out, so that kind of sucks. However, it might still... No, oh yeah, we died. A 487. That is still an insane record. Yeah, wow. I was off by almost 20. I still had about 40 seconds left, so I could have maybe won it. I doubt it, though. I probably used just super smooth or something dumb last time. Okay, so now that we have our timer set up, we can go ahead and get ready to do this. First, we have to use the sticker stack. Oh my god, a 271 stack. That is actually insane. And that's 10. Let's officially kill the stumps now with 30 million health. Yeah, 70,000, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1. Bop, bop, bop. Boom, stop the timer. 1 hour, 5 minutes and 42 seconds. That's how long it took to kill. And is it a good amulet? No. No, this amulet kind of low-key sucks. However, 1 hour and 5 minutes is actually extremely fast to kill your stump snail, so I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did like it, and subscribe so that we can surpass on it in subscribers eventually, which would be pretty cool. And join the Discord so that you can help with all the fun videos I've planned.